welcome to Cleopatra. I'm Christy Vana.
And I'm Lynn Molly, and we're two Middle Eastern comedy queens digging up the funny from the first generation experience.
Our guest today is a hilarious comedian based in Los Angeles. She is the creator of facial recognition comedy, and I'm so excited to introduce Ms. Fizaa Dosani. Woo-hoo!
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. You are the best sport ever because, fun fact for people at home, we just got the wrong podcast studio address and showed up and it wasn't there anymore. And man, times they are a-changing. So thank you for your patience and thank you for being here.
You know, I just felt like we went with the flow, and like it felt like a mini road trip with you guys. We jumped in your car. I had great parking there, so I'm happy to leave my car there in the shade. Love parking in the shade.
There really is, like, the one Seinfeld episode that resonates with me the hardest is where George finds the perfect parking spot and does not want to leave. And I feel like that is, like, especially, I live in a neighborhood with, like, competitive parking. Yeah. And when you get a good spot, you're like, is it worth leaving?
I live here now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't ever think about the parking in the shade thing. I'm always right there in the hot sun. I kind of like the hot car feeling. Anyone?
That's different.
Am I alone?
Reminds me of my childhood being left in on That's your Ratatouille moment of, like, my childhood. Just you, like, pounding on the windows.
Yeah.
I like that it's not that I'm a Leo or that I like summer or I like being warm.
No, it's that our negligent Arab parents left us in the car and they're like, it's fine, the windows open a little bit.
Mom and Dad, I promise you didn't do that. I know they're listening.
Doesn't matter, statute of limitations. They can't get...
They'll be okay, yeah.
Child Protective Services can't get them.
Yeah, if you're a little bit younger, you know, I mean, there's people who bust windows open if there's, like, dogs in cars,
right.
Which I get, like, if it's super hot because it's like an oven, but... You know, people go into saunas, so
exactly.
maybe there's you know, you're an adult, you can make those choices.
Yeah, the difference was, like, the dogs didn't make the decision
exactly.
to be in the sauna.
I'm just saving on my spa budget is what I'm doing.
Oh, that's actually very smart.
Thank you.
You can do self-care hacks where you're like, who needs a sauna? Just park right in the sun in this Walmart parking lot. Get on in the summer.
That's not a horrible idea.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I want to get heat rash in my car.
I don't have any tint on my windows.
Me neither.
Yeah, everyone can see everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean,
they'll find our bodies, is what I'm saying.
As stand-ups, we are exhibitionists, so that checks out for us.
So this is a podcast about first generation and immigrant comics, creatives, writers, professionals, and their experiences. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and start us off with, you can go as far back as your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, whatever is relevant to your story of kind of how you are here now.
Okay, well, I won't go in chronological order.
Oh, absolutely. Can you actually do it Memento style and just reveal it slowly, piece by piece?
You want me to do my sentences backwards?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ideally.
How do you? That's a lot. That's a lot. So I was born and raised in Florida.
I saw this pause of like, am I gonna? And you're like, nope, let's move forward. And that is the sign of a great comedian. There's that one pause where you're like, is this worth it?
Yeah.
And then here I am delaying you. But okay.
No, it's all good. It's like, is it worth it? Nope. I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
I'm gonna follow that, yeah.
And you know, from going down the rabbit hole before, like I've made those choices where I was like, fuck it. And then it's just like, all right, you know, I put my hand on the stove.
Yes.
Let's not do that again.
There's an old-timey saying that is used a lot in Supreme Court opinions, and the phrase is called, is the game isn't worth the candle. Which is like a very justice-y way of saying, like, no, that's not worth it. But I always think the game isn't worth the candle. And I'm like, if I said that now, people would be like, what the fuck is that? Are you talking about Clue?
When you teach a stand-up class, I think you should drop that.
100%. Okay. So take us back to Florida.
I'll take you back before Florida. I was conceived in Kentucky.
What?
Yeah, Lexington, Kentucky. That's and then my parents moved to Florida, where I was born, in Lee County, as in General E. Lee of the Confederacy. Great choice, you know.
Wow.
They no one knew what. I mean, you experienced this. No one knew what we were, so there was a lot of confusion, and we, we're Hispanic for half our lives, and I went to Florida public school. Not an excuse, again, just an explanation.
Was Florida public school as kind of confusing as it seems to be now? Were they banning books? Was the education leaning in interesting directions at all?
Well, I didn't have anything to compare it to. Okay. So at the time, I would say that I think the pendulum swung further right. Probably everything was more centrist. And I was in the IB program, the International Baccalaureate program, which is it's an international program. So there's a curriculum that's probably better than the Florida public school standard
no shade at Florida public schools. Actually, a little shade. A lot of shade.
Every shade for every palm tree.
A lot of shade for all the cars.
I had a great time in Florida, until I didn't. But
were you near the beach?
I was close to the beach, cool. But I did take it for granted at the time. But now being away from it, like the East Coast beaches, Florida beaches are like some of the best in the world. California beaches, like the sand is a little coarser.
The waves are a little scary.
Full of sharks.
The water, cold. The Pacific's cold.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
And the Atlantic's
the first time I went into the Atlantic, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? What?
When I moved to LA, I thought it was going to be tropical. I thought it was like Hawaii. And then I was like, I need a jacket. I moved here without a single jacket. And I was deeply disappointed.
Yeah. That was after 5 p.m. every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just shivering.
Yeah.
In your car. Like, where's my sauna?
That's my favorite burn from 30 Rock is when Jenna says, oh, you're moving to the Bay Area? Have fun packing a light jacket everywhere.
A light jacket. Now that's LA. I feel like a medium jacket for the Bay Area.
It's so much colder in the winter and hotter in the summer.
Yeah.
I wear a crop top puffer jacket and I get so much shit for it.
I have a crop top hoodie, which I almost brought today, which I get a lot of shit for. Someone's like, are you wearing a kid's jacket? Did you just pick up a kid's jacket?
It makes sense here.
It makes sense. It's less fabric to carry or lug around.
Exactly.
And also it like shows the shape of the waist. Like exactly. Who has an issue with that besides all the men
and our moms?
Besides all of our ancestors. Oh man.
So you said you had fun in Florida until you didn't. What point did you stop having fun?
I think towards the end of college, back to back, we just had a ton of hurricanes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was just back to back to back, like hurricane season, year after year. And I mean, it was just I visited LA. I knew I wanted to do something in entertainment, so it was New York or LA. I mean, I have equator blood and I'm Floridian, so I was like, not New York, not now. And I went to LA and it was like not humid. And I didn't know it could be that way. I didn't know like the world could. I thought the air was just wet and uncomfortable, and I was just supposed to sweat
You're
like a
this
pig.
This planet is hard to breathe on. And yeah, that's just how it is.
It was a lot, I saw I was like, oh, like land doesn't have to be flat and below seawater, or below
swampy.
Yeah. So yeah, I was ready to get out. But before that, it's just I think because I was in a program in grade school, so we sort of built a community that you sort of, have your people. And then in college, I felt a sense of community as well. But then after that, I was like, well, it's just time to get out.
Did you feel like you had a good community of different people of different ethnicities, or did you feel you were kind of in a white world?
I tended to have a good mix. I think maybe I unconsciously sought that out. I think diversity was something that was always more interesting to me than, the opposite. Like the boilerplate, copy paste.
Yeah.
So I was lucky in that sense that I sort of like gravitated towards that, or just found myself.
Florida does have like a pretty big Puerto Rican and Cuban, Costa Rican population as well.
Yeah. It was very segregated on the southwest side of Florida at the time. I think it's probably changed, but it was super segregated. But I feel like maybe a lot of comedians had this personality when they were younger. You just sort of got along with everybody. Like, I just felt like I was like kind of lightly friends with everyone.
Yeah.
And that's such an interesting, you think that's a comedian thing?
Maybe. I mean, does that resonate with you guys?
It resonates with me in that I don't know how much of that was me being a people pleaser and was like, for survival, I must be liked by everyone. And then that's the only way I'll feel safe. But
everything's for survival.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
But I did feel like I could have a foot in multiple worlds and groups of different types of people, whereas like some of my friends couldn't do that.
Yeah. And I actually preferred that. Like, I liked having different friends and different types of friends, different interests, different personalities. It was just spicier.
The food as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like you just, some places were like, yeah, we're not going to go eat at your parents' house after. And then
hilarious. My friends must be as picante as my social life. Okay, so then where did you move after? You moved straight from Florida to LA? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And I know we're going on a weird, unchronological journey, but before that, what brought your parents to America in the first place?
Oh, that's a good question. So my parents are immigrants from India. They're Muslim Indian. So that's like a minority in India, especially after the partition, colonialism and all that. But
we love talking about colonial history here, so feel free to dwell on it as long as you'd like.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we'll put a pin in that and come back anytime we want. Yeah, so they...
we will never let the British... Okay, and go ahead.
Did they leave? Was it kind of like an asylum thing?
No. Okay. It was popular... So they're both doctors. It was popular for them to... Like, for doctors to come over from... South Asian, East Asian, I think, probably, well, I don't want to speak on anything else because I'm not sure, but like to come over and immigrate during the 60s and 70s and 80s. So yeah, it was just hot to come to America. Like, people were buying the American dream, now not as much, but yeah, they just came over and my dad was in New York first, then, when he married my mom, they lived in D.C. for a bit. Then...
So they met in America?
No, they were kind of set up, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So arranged marriages or semi-arranged marriages were really common.
Yeah.
So my dad's brother, brother and my mom's dad somehow met or knew of each other, and they just kind of introduced my parents, and from what I understand, they just kind of like had to decide shortly after, like, is this like a go or not? And
are they still together?
They are. And there were many times where I was like, you guys can get a divorce, that's an option. Like, you don't have to, sit here and complain. But I think maybe that's part of their love language.
Yeah.
Which is, that was another part to sort of like, another part of why I, took some space across the country.
I love that their love language is threatening divorce. Do you have siblings?
I do. I'm the eldest of three.
The eldest of three, okay.
Yeah.
So they were like, New York, D.C., quick pit stop to Kentucky to conceive you.
Yeah.
Just so you can say you were conceived in Kentucky. And then we'll head on to Florida.
They didn't have to tell me that.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So I mean,
yeah, it is very. Were they living there, or they were just like
they were living there? So that's where they that's where they landed after DC, and then this was all sort of like a residency period.
Oh,
yeah. So they were moving around a bit.
Doctor related.
Yeah, and then my dad joined a practice in Fort Myers, Florida, and that's where we sort of landed. My parents are still there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What kind of doctors are they?
So my mom just internal medicine, but she didn't
Just internal.
I know. Wow, I'm absorbing their like.
Right. We're like, oh, they're not a specialist or a surgeon, so.
Wow, the way I said that. Oh, good. Thank you.
I'm sure your mom calls you just a comedian.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't even know. She's like, what should I tell my friends? Because I can't just say just a comedian. She's like, what do I tell them? Like, I don't know.
Like, tell them I do internal medicine.
Tell them I'm just an internist. So, yeah, she didn't practice too much after residency. My dad is a pulmonary specialist and critical care and sleep, and he actually just retired.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, after 50 years of being a doctor or something.
Does he know what to do with his time?
He does now, I think, because after he retired, just a bunch of crazy stuff happened. It was right after COVID, first of all. He was a pulmonary specialist. He was still like pretty old. So everyone's like, you should retire, not like, because a lot of the work that they did, I think bronchoscopies or like he would be like very close to a patient's mouth. So they were like basically coughing on your face. So they, N95s really probably saved all their lives.
Right.
But yeah, I think after COVID, he was over it, just decided to retire. And then there was a huge hurricane. For the first time in like 3 decades, the hurricane hit my parents' house.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Did it
it flooded the house.
Wow.
They had to redo a lot of it. And then my mom got sick. Yeah, so then she had to get some chemo treatment. And so then my dad was just like, he had just his hands full.
Yeah.
And she's doing much better now. And now I think he just wants to travel all the time. I think he wants to have fun. He was just like very much sort of a workaholic.
Yeah.
And I think he really loved doing that. And then he was just done. He said he was just like, he didn't even want to slow down. He was like, I'm just done.
Oh, love to hear it.
I have an aunt and uncle, and they're both doctors and retired now. And they were telling me once, they were like, work really, really hard while you're young so you can travel and have fun when you're older. But I think I'm doing it backwards.
I think you're doing it right. So many people do not get that luxury of getting older. And then when you're older, it's like, oh, we're tired. This cobblestone hurts our feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's so many fewer things you can do. And it also is just truly part of this, sorry to get on my little soapbox, but this capitalist lie that you have to earn your right to enjoy your life by, participating in the system for as long as you humanly possible. And then in the last 10 years of your life, you may gradually extricate yourself from the economy like that.
Thank you for validating my YOLO lifestyle.
Yeah. It just breaks my heart when of course, travel is a luxury, but I also think that I am very attuned to the idea that you have to suffer in order to deserve just a basic human experience, or a basic autonomy or you know what I mean? It just I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah.
You can suffer on the plane. You don't have to suffer in your entire life beforehand.
Yeah. Because I bought into that a lot, that you have to suffer in order to then earn your right to do what you want.
It's like suffering becomes such a habit, and it's just like, oh, is that necessary? How did we learn that?
I call it immigrant currency. And I'm like, if I did this and then I get to swap it for, well, I did this, so I should be able. Maybe that's very specific to me because I was a lawyer, and so I was like, all right, I've suffered enough. I deserve to try something else, But I wouldn't have been able to make that leap unless I had reached a breaking point of a threshold of like, I did what, you know, which makes me curious. You've always been attracted to entertainment. Like, was that just like, you knew I want to do something like that and I'm just going to like figure it out? And
yeah, I think, yeah, pretty early on, I knew I wanted to do something creative, something in entertainment. And I think it was probably driven by like a deep void within me. And it's interesting because I've gotten a lot of therapy since, and I'm not driven to do entertainment in the same way. I think before it was like a lot of maybe like even trauma, need for validation to like, that's what I wanted. Whereas now I'm trying to find more of the joy in expression and authenticity, and I guess just more in the process versus like the outcome.
Absolutely.
But that initially, I think, was probably, I found it was a way, like, you know, if you can make people laugh, it's a quality people like. So it was just sort of a way for people to not be mean.
right.
Yeah, if you can, you know, get them first or disarm them with humor. So, and then I think I hadn't come to terms with wanting to be a performer till a bit later. Initially, I went to school for film. So yeah, I thought I wanted to write and direct, and I still do in a way, but I really am a performer at heart. Well, now now I'm like, well, do I want to just live in Alaska with a bunch of animals?
We all have that question
huskies?
every day.
So I have huskies. So going back to the thing of like live, YOLO, live while you're young. Like 10 years from now, I don't know if I can wrangle my 90-pound husky. like this dude tries to wrestle me.
You'll be fine in 10
Yeah,
years.
I think
Maybe
so.
in like 20, 30 years, okay, but like
I'm glad you have so much faith.
I have a lot
in
of
my
faith in your
self-care.
muscle mass.
I'm still working on it because you know how there's like black don't crack, and like I really want one for brown, but like brown don't
break down.
Oh, there we go.
I like that.
I think we're gonna last. I think we have longevity in our skin. In
More
our
so than
genes.
some.
Yeah.
So so right now you're like, maybe I should just move to Alaska and take a.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I
think
feel
that
like
too, by the way. But it's not Alaska. I'm like, maybe I should just like go to a villa in Tuscany and Diane Lane the rest of my. I was just.
I mean, I could do Tuscany.
Yeah.
For me, it's an olive farm in Greece. If anyone wants to get in on picking olives,
there's so many options. I love
you
it.
could do a year in each place, really.
Like a timeshare.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Let's all quit. 1, 2, 3. We all Thelma and Louise our careers. We're like, let's go. And off the cliff we go.
I just felt like I've always sort of been like a person of extremes. So like I have to kind of work to find balance. Like it's like I'm all in. I'm I'm grinding. I'm working hard and just razor focused on this.
Yeah.
To the like neglect everything else. To like wanting the exact opposite, like complete sort of balance, peace, like just away from the rat race and all the noise. And I just part of me never wants to look at a screen again.
Yeah.
Or even a mirror again. I just want to sort of just be.
Yeah.
Like
to not be perceived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To sort of just be there for the moment and yourself entirely.
Exactly.
And I just kind of swing back and forth between those two things.
I relate to that so deeply.
Yeah.
How did you get from film and like that trajectory to then stand up?
I think it was just kind of coming to terms with like, okay, like it's just having to delude myself into. I think first of all, there's a certain level of delusion you need to get into entertainment because it's
comes
like
up a lot on this podcast is delusion.
Yeah, like if I knew what I know now, I probably would have been like, I don't know. But it's, in a way, I'm glad that I had that because now I'm in the middle of the ocean now, so got a doggy paddle. But yeah, I think I just gradually made the decision of, and I've always been interested in stand-up, and I've performed as a kid, but I just like, coming from a family where everyone works in healthcare, like serious jobs, so to speak. I think I had to sort of like take baby steps to come out to my parents and even myself about like, okay, this is actually what I want to do.
And what'd they say?
They were probably very nervous and like, are you sure? But I think because I didn't go from like pre-med to I'm going to do stand-up, which is like, if I were them, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, now I don't know if I tell my kid if, or future kid, if I have a kid that, if you're going to do this, it's only worth it if you really want to, because otherwise, why do that to yourself? But if you really enjoy it, then that's a different thing. So now, it's been years now. So and then both of my younger siblings have become doctors. So they, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'm like, statistically, you guys are doing okay.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And it's good to have someone who's doing something a little different, because it's just, otherwise it's like, that's just ridiculous. It's just like, it's like, are you really just giving birth to doctors? Like 2 doctors? Is that how it works? Like a doctor and a doctor.
Somebody give him a copy of Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. Just let him know that there's got to be one stand-up comedian per 2 doctors in this family.
It's also great for your siblings to do that, because it takes the pressure off you. Like my brother had a kid, so now it's like, okay, he did it. The pressure's off me.
Well, I probably put the pressure on them because I'm the eldest. So I went and did this insane thing, or what they perceive as insane, and so I think there was more pressure on my siblings. And my sister, she was a journalist before she went to med school, so my parents kind of really put the pressure on her, but I think there was a part of her that wanted to, because she did it. And then my brother also, he ended up doing it, and I think it was hellish at certain points, but I don't think either one of them regret it. I think they enjoy it. And I just, like, free medical advice is really the best. In this healthcare system, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't see a doctor, like a real one, until I was like 19.
I always look for like a doctor who's like Arab, Indian, Iranian, always.
Yeah.
I'm just like, they'll take care of me.
They'll treat me like their daughter.
Exactly.
Did they ever express concern about like, oh, what are you going to do? Or were they just kind of like, okay?
Yeah. No, there were a lot of concerns that they expressed, and a lot of them were very valid.
And how are they now?
Now, I think they've accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as much of an issue. I think now they're just like, well, why aren't you married? And
you're like, I have 2 huskies though.
Yeah, I'm like, like this is my big dog, and I call him daddy. Like,
they'll keep you safer than any man will.
I was just like, men are dangerous. Like, what are you like? Do you know how many horror stories have you seen? Like, like there's so many movies about you just sleeping with the enemy type of shit.
There was that whole viral thing of like women would rather be with a bear in a forest than a man.
100%.
They're like 9 out of 10 women said I would rather be with a bear than if it would feel less threatened than just a solo man walking in the forest.
Because if you play dead, a bear will leave you alone. Not all men will leave you alone if you play dead.
That's true.
I think I would take a man over a shark though. I think that's where I draw the line.
Interesting.
Just a random man in the ocean.
Swin. That sounds like a Far Side cartoon. That's so funny. Have they ever seen you perform, by the way? Your parents?
Yeah. When I was probably earlier on, they were just like very sort of insistent, which wasn't the best. It was like I would have rather them, wait a bit. But now I think there's such a creator economy that we're just like throwing up all our stand-up online. So they really want to see it. There's a bunch they could just watch. They haven't bugged me as much about coming to heckle me in person.
And your material's notoriously not, I would say, parent friendly.
I have a lot of opinions.
How are they with that?
I think they maybe rationalize it as, it's a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, I think then they're just like, okay, her job is to make people laugh. So if it lands, they'll deal with it.
That's so healthy.
I mean, it's whatever helps them sleep, you know?
I remember Pallavi saying her parents like send her comedy and they're like, see, it's clean.
Look at this.
You could do this too.
Yeah. They send me like screenshots of like men from matrimonial sites. So that's what I'm getting right now in my DMs from my parents.
Oh my gosh.
I get government job listings. That's my DM.
We love a stable government job.
We love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We have a few questions for you. The first one is, Cleopatra was the queen of luxury. What is one bougie item that you do not skimp on?
Flushable moist wipes.
Oh, that's bougie.
It's not. I'm from Florida, so this is Florida bougie. This is
anything that isn't newspaper. Is
anything that doesn't leave me with fissures on my ass, like fault lines. Wet wipes, and I think like just wet wipes in general, like flushable ones for your butt, and then I have cucumber ones for my face that are refreshing, but you can also take makeup off of. So those I just like. That's my bougie.
I didn't know they made them flushable. To be honest, I've never heard of that.
Well, they're not. Well, that's the thing. There's controversy about not the cucumber ones, but like the butt ones. There's controversy because they are advertised as flushable, but a lot of people say, well, septic tanks can't really handle it, and so on the label it says, "Oh, just flush one at a time." But no, it flushes one at a time. You're using them after you like take a dump. Like you're not, one at a time. Are you kidding me? It's such a waste of water.
Also, I don't think any of our like cardboard LA apartments have septic tanks.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that's like an Ojai, like I think when we have an olive farm, we'll have a septic tank, and then we'll renegotiate at that point.
That is fair. That's funny that nobody has ever said that before.
What?
That said that flushable wipes were their thing. Normally people are like, I go all out on restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. No, I had a phase where I was at face mist.
Yeah.
I had this like French face mist that I would always just like, and it was just so refreshing. And now I'm like, God, that was such a bougie unnecessary.
Do you know what's so wild to me? All my girlfriends are like, oh my gosh, we just came into this really cool new thing. Did you know if you spray your face with rose water,
right,
it's like really refreshing? And I'm like, how much are you paying for this rose water that I get at like the Arab marketplace for like $1?
$2, yeah.
It just has a little brand on it, and it's at Sephora, and now it's new.
They found something,
Yeah.
they found a market, and the market are these women.
Yeah.
So,
but none of them even know that was just like appropriated from Arab culture. Like they have no idea that we've been rose watering for years.
We've been rose watering for years. Nobody tell them about box braids. It'll break their hearts when they find out that that's from somewhere else. They've been appropriating this whole time.
So we have another question, which is that Cleopatra was not actually Egyptian. She was more from Greece, that kind of geography. But she embraced a lot of Egyptian customs. Are there any American customs that you've embraced, or alternatively Indian customs that you can't shed?
There's a lot of American cultures or cultural stuff I've embraced, but like one Indian thing that I can't shed, and maybe maybe this is not everyone in India, maybe this is everyone in India that's related to me, but okay, so how in America we put like napkins on our lap, and then you sort of like eat with your silverware and you bring it to your mouth. So anything like the stuff sort of falls in your lap. That freaks me out. I can't do it. So I lean in. I lean in towards
Lean
the
over the
plate.
plate.
Exactly. And
Yes.
that's something that I haven't been able to kick, nor I want to. Like, to me, I can't.
That seems much more efficient.
Yeah.
Honestly, why are we just letting it?
Fall into our lap.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm not with. I can't.
Classic white people like needing everything to come to them.
I found myself recently eating over the sink a lot, and that says crisis.
Just say that's what they do in Egypt, and it's just what your ancestors have been doing.
Yeah, it's customary to just not avoid any ceremony whatsoever. Just shovel that food. No, that's like my American thing that I really am like, why am I doing this? Why did I start eating before I sat down? I just sit down. I did that twice in a row this week, and I was like, why am I eating standing in my own kitchen? That's bizarre. But yeah, that's what's crazy is that I found out that when you go to fancy restaurants, they have different napkin colors based on what you're wearing. And I was like, what? So I remember one time I sat down in a nice restaurant and some people got white napkins and some people got black napkins. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
I've nenever had that experience.
No, me neither.
And I asked my mom and she was like, it's so that the white, she told me it was based on what you're wearing. So if you're wearing a dark color, the white, I don't know what this is. I should look that up.
To me, I feel like they're doing some kind of class system where they're like
segregating the napkins.
Yeah, if you get good treatment, you get white.
I have to look this up really quickly.
I did go to a swanky restaurant recently, and in the reservation thing, they said you could send them a picture of yourself. So when you arrive, the host is like, "Hello, Lynn." It's like, that's wild.
Oh, this is napkin etiquette 101. At the start of the meal, your waiter may ask if you'd prefer a black napkin. If you're wearing black pants or a black skirt or dress, because they're worried that a white napkin will leave white lint on those black clothes. Yeah, so that my mom was right.
Wow.
It's to not have lint, because we all know that the most undignified thing you can do at a dinner party is have white lint on your
Single
black.
lint.
How about don't have linty napkins?
Yeah, I'm like, what
Use a dryer sheet.
Putting these dryers. What are they doing? Lint. What's going on here? Who also? That's wild to me. I get the whole like, oh, for your makeup, hotels will have a dark towel so that because
I
women
love
are
the
always,
makeup towel.
love a makeup
Great
towel.
move.
I mean, if someone gives me the option, like if they have it in their budget to say, do you want a white or black napkin? I mean, why not? It's just another choice to make. Well, it is another choice to make, so I guess that's a pro and a con.
That's true. There is too many choices in our capitalistic society. I think if they did ask me that and we hadn't had this conversation, I would short circuit. I'd be like, I don't know.
I think all napkins should be black. I said it. Never stain. You could use them over and over again. It's an absolute conspiracy.
I feel like that's the whole point of having the white, or to have like a white sofa or like these white chairs, is to be like,
is to remember every stain. You're like, that's when I memories. It's a collage.
No, it's to be like, I can keep my home so clean, and if I spill something, I can just replace this.
That's a good point. I go through a lot of white t-shirts.
But that's true though. Like, I agree with the darker colored napkins because I don't want to look at every single stain.
Yeah.
Unless as you eat, you're like that's from 5 minutes ago when ketchup got over here. You have a nice direct log of what a messy eater you are. I actually am like a messier eater than I realized lately. It's probably because that's why I started moving to the sink apparently. But yeah, it is kind of gross to be like.
I don't think that's gross to be a messy eater. One of my girlfriends is like the hottest girl in the whole world. She's like devastatingly hot. And one time we like sat down to eat and she's like, I just need you to know that I'm a disgusting eater. And it somehow like made her even more hot. Like I can't explain it.
Yeah, it's the Paris Hilton Carl's Jr. commercial. Where she's just like disgustingly not eating the burger and it's like getting everywhere. Was it Carl's Jr. or Burger King?
Carl's Jr.
Yeah. Iconic. One Paris Hilton reference per day. That's what I say.
Rhyme.
Also, until like maybe a couple years ago, and even now sometimes, like I did not pronounce garage and massage like that, like correctly. I would say garage and massage.
Is that how your parents say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. They get in your head.
Everybody has at least one word that they say very stupidly. And it's not a normal, like, you know, some people say like milk and rough.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like not the typical types of pronunciation. Like everyone just one very, everyone's like, I'm sorry, did you just, mine is drawer.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's so bad. And people are like, did you just say drawer? And I was like, yeah, drawer. And they're like, it's drawer. And I was like, it's your word against mine. And it's because my mom says drawer. She's like, put it in the drawer.
Yeah.
Growing up, my entire family, I don't know why, but we all said Barnles and Noble. I have no idea how we all got that together.
God. Barnles and
Years.
Noble.
It was It's still Barnles and Noble. Let's be real.
My parents say, instead of Thai, they say Thai.
Thai?
Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Thai food. Yeah.
I love the way my mom says cucumber. To me, that's the cutest. I want to like say cucumber. I don't want to say cucumber.
Yeah.
It's so cute. I'm going to get a dog and name it Cucumber.
Cucumber. That's really
Come
cute.
here, Cucumber. Okay. Cleopatra viewed herself as a living goddess. Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time where you felt supernatural, or do you have a useless talent?
I definitely have a useless talent. So I can contort my face to look like a marionette dummy, like a puppet.
Okay.
Yeah, let me.
Do we get to see it?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
This is wild. You should ventriloquize yourself. You're the puppet and the wrangler.
Oh, let me see. I mean, just stick my hand behind my neck.
Yeah.
Put that in your little skits. Why don't you
In my
put that in your
skits,
act? Go ahead.
It's always a skit.
Yeah, at least like once a week somebody tells me like, put this in your comedy. And I'm like, don't tell me what to do.
Or like you could use that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's like, I'm good.
You can have that, by the way.
That one didn't make it through the filter.
Yeah, it's like I didn't even know what you're. So you've been doing comedy for
10 years.
10 years,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm always curious to ask comics how their perspective has changed. You gave us a little taste of this, how before it was like achievement and this all or nothing, and now like how did you kind of arrive at this place of trying to find more balance or trying to enjoy it?
Honestly, probably just like hitting rock bottom and then getting lots of therapy.
Wow.
So yeah, I think I've changed as a person or evolved as a person, and that's. I mean, it's kind of scary sometimes to not be driven by the same things, because then it's like, well, what's gonna like sort of push me? And now I find it's stuff like inspiration. So like something that helps me want to be creative is to watch like some sort of art or a set or a movie or something that I'm just like, whoa, that's really good. That makes me want to go out there and create something. You feel that inspiration. But yeah, before it was just sort of like, I guess, wanting to feel like enough and having to source that validation externally.
Honestly, that's why I go to Facial Rec a lot, because when I'm hosting Habibis, I can't really watch. I'm running around, but I feel like I sit there and I watch all these women, and it just inspires me to be better. And it's such a great show. And I did kind of want to talk about that.
Yeah.
How many years ago did you start that?
I think it was, I should know this. I believe 2017, maybe 2016.
Can you tell us a little bit about the origins of it? Because it is a very funny, pertinent story.
Yeah, like there were only a handful of us at a certain point, it felt like, and we'd all get confused for each other. And also people wouldn't put us on the same lineup because it's sort of like, you get the boxes checked, like, and that was frustrating. So like someone, I think, had a whole conversation with me, and at the end they're like, they called me Zara. And I'm like, I was so frustrated by that I made this facial recognition guide for the comedy community, put like all of the comics that I knew of South Asian descent at the time, like I put them all in this sort of meme and said, refer to this before talking to any of us. And then people were just like, well, why don't you guys all do a show together? And I thought, well, that's like a freaking good idea, because who else is going to put us all on a lineup together? Yeah. And then the point of that being like, we're not the same person. Yeah. So that's where the graphic or the design that we use for our current promo material comes from, was just sort of like an alternate graphic with our faces, and it says we are not the same person on our forehead. And it's like, I guess it combats tokenism. There can be more than one of us, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And that you can have so many people on the same show of South Asian descent or just Middle Eastern descent, but still have completely different stories. It's almost like they're, the same license that these lineups that have like 4 or 5 white guys, and it's like nobody would ever say like, oh, well, we're like, we already heard the white guy experience. It's like, no, people assume that this person's gonna have their own story, and
well, there's so much diversity within our own demographic, and no one wants to feel redundant because you're from this, because you have something superficial in common with them. Or even like culturally, but like there's so many people, so many different experiences. I think there's as many universes as there are perspectives in a way. So yeah, it would just sort of drive that, what we see as a very basic concept, home. And I think like in my time here in LA thus far, I have seen some change in the industry, but I mean, I guess there's always room for improvement.
But I feel like your like net has become so much wider. Like I feel like when you started, it was really just the 3 of you and maybe Suba, Kieran, and now I keep seeing new faces on the lineup, and it's really exciting. And I feel like you've paved that way.
Well, it's just, I mean, there's so many of us now, which is incredible, because it was so I partnered up with Zara and Pallavi with Facial Rec, and we started doing the shows, and then we met more and more comics. What do people use the term Manasa still? Middle Eastern, North African, South Asian. Well, just like brown, let's just say brown comics, and women specifically. We wanted to showcase women because, I mean, people weren't as excited to showcase women, brown women especially, like so double marginalized. And yeah, it just, the show is never about one specific voice. It was about sort of a diverse array and an underrepresented demographic. So we've always sort of, just always want to get new comics. And we've even expanded to like, our token guys. We'll throw a couple guys on there, Mm-hmm. I think one time I was tipsy, and someone who's like a different brown, he's like Cuban or something. He was like, oh, can I do the show? And I'm like, yeah. And then like, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to tell the ladies. So it's, we definitely mix it up now, and we have fun with it. But the foundation of it is showcasing the diversity within our demographic, because it's like, oh yeah, there's not one universal voice. Just like you said about like, oh, we already got this white guy's perspective, says no one.
Right.
Except maybe us.
Right.
But But like, it's just like,
But even I don't say that, like, really, I'm not saying there shouldn't be multiple white guys on a show. I'm just saying that when it's 5 white guys, no one's going to be like, oh God, I mean, we're going to hear the same story probably. It's like, no, they get the license and the leeway and that space to be an individual. Whereas, and you said it perfectly when you said with tokenism.
Yeah.
Though I will say one of my friends who's not a comedian, she came to one of my shows and completely unprompted afterwards, she goes, do white men have anything to talk about besides porn or like doing too many drugs? I was like, I don't know, to be honest. She's like, it was so repetitive.
Sometimes dating is weird. They do that.
I've heard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my girlfriend's so boring.
You mentioned hitting rock bottom, and I'm just curious, like, is that something you want to touch or talk about? Okay.
Yeah, why not?
What did that look like for you? And I guess how did you navigate that? You mentioned therapy. I'm just like wondering how people navigate those intense, tumultuous times in this industry.
Yeah. Well, I'll start out by saying that I had a lot of maladaptive coping mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say coking? Maladaptive coping mechanisms, and just things that ultimately became unsustainable. And I just didn't really have the tools or the EQ, the emotional quotient, to navigate that. So I've always been a person who just wanted to create the life that I want. So I've always been driven in that sense. And I just found that, you know, I was just spiraling in different ways. And, you know, I think addiction is a lot like, and sometimes they'll say this in 12-step meetings, a lot like whack-a-mole, that game whack-a-mole, like you knock one thing down and something else pops up. Because there's that perceived void, right, that you're trying to fill. So I just, you know, I think just over the years, and it's still a process. It's still a process. Like I'm still in therapy, but now I want to be, not... Yeah, but it just felt like, I got to a point where I was just hitting a wall and it wasn't going to get better. It was going to get worse. And the relationships in my life, you know, there was just a lot of tumult. And, I just decided that I wanted better. You know, I was like, I wanted to be happy. That's what it was. I wanted to be happy, whatever that. At the time, I was like, whatever that is, I want it. Yeah. I was trying to like remember the times. It's like, when was I happy? And then I sort of looked at those qualities. And I think it was a lot of just like getting to know myself and accept myself because, and this, you know, is no shade to my parents at all because it was probably harder for them. You know, I think progress is generational sometimes, but like, you know, that I don't, you know, I think they're very smart people intellectually, but I had to learn those tools. I became, I think, more competent emotionally after I decided to go on that journey independently.
I always think like, oh yeah, if I want to be happy, sometimes I get into that all or nothing thinking a lot. And I'm like, okay, well, if I want to be like really, really happy though, maybe I also need to just like quit everything that involves me needing to be on social media and to go like live a cloistered life. And be a Franciscan monk. But
that sounds lovely.
Yeah, I do think social media strips us of all happiness.
And I think it's sort of designed to do that because it's designed to be addictive because it's a business and they want you coming back. Crack is a business and it's lucrative to some, but like similarly, Instagram is designed to, you know, give you those hits, intermittent hits also, which is one of the most just addictive ways to get hooked on something. And they want you coming back. They want you spending all your time on there. So, and then
the industry rewards it. The industry rewards the online presence and then just the like, I'm always here. And this weird like living life on Instagram where, you know, there's always those people who like anytime you post or they like post on every single person, like fire emoji, like, you know, heart, like, and it's just sort of like, I'm in the room. I'm in the the room of the internet, just being like, hey, I see you. What's up? I see you. And that feels like a full-time fucking job, is like giving everyone props. And I'm not like, no shade to those people. I do that too, where I'm like, clap emoji.
Yeah.
You know, want to like gas people up. You want to boost their post or whatever, promote them and support them. But there's also this part where I'm like, wow, I spend a lot of time like somehow keeping tabs on what other people are doing, or just being, it's almost like showing face online instead of like
sometimes I want to get, you know, that bird that like dips its nose in water. I want to like get one of those to just like smash like as my Instagram feed rolls.
Yeah, like an Acme.
Like
outsource.
So I don't have to do it.
It does a lot of work, and then I don't, you know, it does sort of perpetuate that compare and despair mentality when you're, you know, everyone's showcasing the best aspect of their life, the very curated, you know, window into everyone's life. So then, you know, when you're in your own reality, you see that, and it's very easy to fall into comparing.
But then it's also motivating in a sense, because sometimes I'll see someone doing something and I'm like, oh, I could be doing that too. And then I go after that thing. So, but then I don't know if constantly chasing achievements is what brings us happiness either. So,
but, I mean, I would really like to get to a place where I can use social media and social media doesn't use me.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, I've had to create boundaries around it where I'll go really hard on, and this is sort of my bingey personality, but I'll go really hard on social media and then I'll withdraw. I'll withdraw and like sort of recover. Because that's what it really is for me, is like recovering. Because as someone who has these, I don't want to say addictive personality, but maybe that is the term. You know, when I do get a hit, quote unquote, hit from social media, there is some sort of chemical stimulation.
Yeah, that is a dopamine. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the dopamine hit. And then when it's gone, there's a withdrawal. So I think that is where I have to take the recovery, like the space away from that, so I can like recalibrate my brain.
But it does impact you when you take a step away. Like I've noticed when I'm not active on social media, my friends hit me up less. And then I'm like, am I advertising to my friends? Is that part, like, call me, I'm around. And it does feel like that. The more they see you kind of succeeding online, the more they want to be in your orbit. But I think I want friends who would text me.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Actually, text you even more that you're not online, because maybe something's wrong.
Yeah, right? Check in.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it just, you know, I think there's a lot of good stuff about social media and how it, you know, there is less gatekeeping in a way. You can sort of reach an audience directly. But, you know, again, these are owned by corporations, and we're human, and humans are messy. So it's interesting. It's interesting sort of figuring out a world that's changing so fast, and spending so much time just looking at screens. I think that's pretty wild.
A friend of mine was just staying over, and she has like a full-time job, and she just needed to work all day. And she was like, you're on your computer all day. Like, you don't have a job. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm sending out booking emails. Yeah. I'm editing podcast clips. I'm designing show flyers. Like, I'm working full time.
It's constant.
Yeah.
It's constant. We do everything from our phones, and you actually forgot your phone today.
I sure did.
And
what a blessing.
Yeah.
In a way. I am so stressed because I am supposed to meet someone after this. I'll text her from your Instagram.
You can use my Instagram, and also your boyfriend DM'd me and said something, but I haven't checked it yet.
Oh, I bet it's Lynn left
her phone. Yeah, probably.
Please protect her.
Got her. Bring her back alive or dead. Alive or dead.
I need the body.
He's gonna reanimate you.
I feel like social media and the business aspect of comedy is like the ocean. There is no limit to how much you could be doing. If you bring a little Dixie cup to the ocean, you'll fill it. If you bring a giant, canister and dip it in the ocean, it'll get full as well.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like your boundaries are that little cup of like, how much am I going to fill up on this salty water and fill up on this like stuff? And if you don't create a boundary, you will just keep going back and back and back, and it'll inundate you, and there's just no limit. And I'm really bad at creating those boundaries, because I'll think of something at like 11 or p.m. and just be like, oh, I gotta do this right now, and just not put that limit on it. But thank you for sharing that. I'll ask you more about what you think a practical thing is. Like, what's like something practical you've done that's changed like a habit or a behavior?
I started walking 10,000 plus steps a day, and it's really helped my mental health significantly, like notably. Like I tend to be in a better mood. I think it's because there's some release of chemicals. Yeah. So it's like sort of, and I think LA is not really a walking city. So I don't know. I just got used to it.
The Walk of Fame like up and down 700 times.
I got a treadmill or a walking pad for that reason, because I just look like a weirdo walking through my building. Everyone's like Ring apps or like fucking taking pictures of me.
I know these Ring videos are. It's like you walk out of your apartment and you're like, yeah, it's like paparazzi. Like, stop it.
All surveillance.
Sure.
I just felt like such a creep. And then like, in the neighborhood, it's LA. You're in the middle of the city. So it's like, I don't want to be walking out there in the middle of the night by myself. Yeah. I mean, I have the wolves now, but like, there's people there's people out there with machetes and stuff. Like, I don't want them to swing that at my babies.
No.
So yeah, but like making sure that I try to get that every day if possible. And just like, physically, emotionally, mentally, it's been a game changer.
Nice. We are going to pivot now to our final segment called Dig Deep. This is where we ask the deep questions. The first one is Cleopatra was portrayed by Liz Taylor in the titular role. Okay, I love the word titular. In the 1963 film Cleopatra. If your life were a crossover of two films or TV shows, it could be more than one. More than two, rather. What would they be? What's like the log line? This meets that.
Probably Curb Your Enthusiasm meets the Golden Girls.
Oh. I hope you're played by Larry David.
That would be ideal. What a dream come true. Yeah, because I feel like I'm pretty introverted, meaning like, if I don't get enough time to myself, or I can get a little curmudgeon-y. So I think I can relate to a lot of Larry David's idiosyncrasies. He works in the industry. He's in LA. So I think I'm kind of neurotic. And then the Golden Girl piece comes into it, because since living in LA, I feel like I've always sort of lived in this communal art space type of thing, because I always have roommates. I have like a loft style space, and I usually always will have a roommate there. And then just, I don't know, it's just, why are there 10 people like living in my house? Like, someone was just like, oh, we're going to crash on the couch. And then 6 months later, I'm like, can you pay rent? You're still here. I mean, this was earlier on, but I always find myself in sort of these, this like a motley crew of just characters that, we just all sort of live together, and it's fun. It is fun.
And great for storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And inspiration.
So, I mean, the Golden Girls in that sense, like I don't know. I just love having people and animals around. Animals are people. So
I would watch a Golden Girls reboot with like you, Pallavi,
Yes.
Zara.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun.
It would be called Golden Brown Girls.
Cleopatra had a storied legacy as a scholar, scientist, leader. What would you like your legacy to be, or what would you like your epitaph to read?
Ooh, okay. I guess my epitaph might be something like she loved comfy pants.
Amen.
I mean, it is something I feel very strongly about, and it's positive. So, but like, I think in terms of like a legacy, you know, when I was younger, I probably, like pre-therapy, Fizaa probably would have said something like, oh, I want to be known as great at, you know, my chosen profession and, you know, liked and hilarious and this and that. Like, you know, just stuff to feed the ego. And I think now, I think I just, whatever makes me me is, you know, whatever that is, whatever qualities, authentic qualities make me me. I just want to be sort of remembered for that.
Yeah.
You know.
That's pretty beautiful. I love that.
And I think, yeah, I feel like you're have such a just to blow a little smoke up your ass. Like you're so much fun to watch, and you always bring this like a fun hairstyle, like with like, you know, a lot of pigtails and like a cool ass jumpsuit and like so much personality and so much good energy. And I feel like you're just fucking killing it. It's really fun to watch you. And I think you're doing a really good job.
You are so authentically you, which is
very
refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, it's hard for me to comment on myself because it's like I don't have an unbiased perspective of myself. And that's like a big thing I've sort of learned from a lot of the introspective work I've done is that I am operating from a very limited perspective, or very specific perspective, rather. So it is like really sweet of you guys to say that, because it's sort of, you know, and also now it's like, it's nice because I can receive it. Like when I felt like when I was like sort of had that void, you know, compliments would just sort of like, nothing would be enough.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really receive it. Even though I was sort of like desperately wanting to live off that. And now it's just like hearing that, it's just like, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's like, and I can receive it. I appreciate that.
I was going to say that I feel like one of the things all of the facial recognition ladies, like just really being at ease with themselves. I feel like that makes a comedian or just any type of artist like really special. And I feel like that must mean that the therapy was working, you know, is that like when you seem like really comfortable and like you stand in what you're saying and you're like, I might not say the perfect thing, but I like accept myself enough and I embrace like what makes me me enough that I can forgive a misstep and just stand in my perspective and my voice. And that's something I'm not there yet, in my opinion. I'm still learning how to do that. But
I mean, you guys are both very good on stage.
Oh, thank you.
So that would not have been feedback that I would have noticed. That wouldn't have been something I would have said to you because I wouldn't have known. But
and because I have a void still, I'm gonna reject this compliment, and it's not enough. And you're an idiot.
Refer her
what's
to your
wrong
therapist.
with you to think that about
and
me?
You have terrible taste. No, just kidding. I know I'm getting better. I can receive a compliment. I really appreciate
progress,
it. Thank you so much.
You know,
it's really
I mean, I get it because like I'm, you know, it just depends on the day. You know, let's say I didn't get my steps and I'm just like a fucking like ball in a blanket. You know, like just so it's. I mean, there's a regression too as well. I still have, you know, a lot of those deep-seated things are like they're still in me. But it's interesting because it's like, oh, I just have better tools now.
Yeah,
better coping,
and a better story, or a better story that you tell yourself. Because I think that every time I slip, I go, "Oh, I knew it all along. This is my default. This is the dip, and I'm this type of person." And the other moments of happiness and joy or whatever are the exception. And when you start telling yourself, actually, progress is not linear, art is not linear, this is just how it goes, you can be a little more forgiving of yourself and not see the regression as like a personal failure.
Yeah, and even using maybe the word regression is not, maybe that's not even the word I want to use because that implies a negative connotation. But I love what you said about like the story that we tell ourselves, because we kind of perpetuate our own experience. You know, our perspective is our reality. So if we get what we focus on. So if we're focusing on something negative, we're probably going to notice a lot more of that in our life. Versus, versus something positive, and that also I think lifts your spirits. And I had this epiphany when I was walking in Peru for like 3 days. My sister convinced me to go on this Machu Picchu hike, and there was a bunch of goat shit everywhere, and I was just like, I don't want to step in the goat shit. I want to step in the goat shit. And then just like after like 3 days of walking and just being in nature, I was just like, I can focus on the not goat shit, and that's where I can walk. So it was just like, that became a little saying of mine, like little not focus on the not goat shit.
That's your glass half empty, half full. Yeah.
So I was like, it's so simple.
Wow.
But it was just like, that still came to me as an epiphany, which is
and it was
funny.
like a visceral, actual application of that.
Also, like, I think all our brown ancestors have been navigating goat shit for centuries.
Yeah, it's kind of in our blood at this point. I'm surprised you had trouble with it.
But it came to me from somewhere deep within.
Yes. Well, you heard it here. But that's your epitaph. Focus on not the goat shit. ... Focus on comfy pants. This was such a joy to talk to you. I wish we had a little bit longer, but you know what? The fates do what they do, and this was still a really lovely conversation. Can we ask, where can people find you, and what would you like to promote?
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. We got to have you guys back on Facial Rec. The people who are interested in finding me.
Let the people know.
I'm on all the platforms as Fizaa Dosani, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X. What is, I don't know. Fizaa Dosani. Fizaa is spelled with 1 Z and 2 A's, not 2 Z's and 1 A. That's, but you know what?
We'll link to it.
Yeah. I mean, just even if you type it in wrong, maybe something similar will show up. You know what? We're all the same person anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just follow any Fizaa. And then facial recognition comedy on all the platforms. We're at the Comedy Store the third Tuesday of every month at 8 p.m. in the Belly Room. I've been hosting lately, which has been just like a ball.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't love hosting in general. Because sometimes it feels like, oh, you're working all night. But like with our show, it's just like I'm so stoked about like the hang.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, I'm with my people and like we're just chilling, and it doesn't feel like work. So just come through at the Comedy Store. It's a monthly show, and
we'll link to both Fizaa and Facial Rec, and you can see her there. Thank you so much. That's been our podcast. If you like us, please leave a review. Do all the things. And until next time, I've been Christy Bonna.
I'm Lynn Molly.
And I'm Fizaa Dosani.
Yay! Thank you so much. Goodbye.